Buick, a 124-year-old brand that seemingly has come under attack in 2024. Some saying, why does this brand still exist? What is its purpose? Well, the purpose is right here with this brand new model. What we're looking at here is the 2024 Envista. And what Buick is offering with this car is a little bit of design, a little bit of luxury for a ton of value. You see, this car starts at $24,000, maybe even a little under $24,000, and offers some premium luxury features for the price point. When the average new car in the US is knocking on the door of $50,000, Buick has launched this little guy for well under 30 grand with a surprising amount of features. This thing really is kind of a game changer in this space, and we're going to take a look at it and talk about what makes it so special. So, Buick, founded in 1899, established as a semi-luxury brand through much of the 20th century, and then kind of got stuck in a rut of making the same front-wheel drive Luxo barge for old people, and then, 15 years ago, started rebranding Opel products and coming out with some more interesting stuff for the US that didn't really catch on. They kind of got lost in the woods a little bit for a few years there, and I think we're finally starting to see some cool stuff out of Buick. Maybe not exciting, dynamic stuff, but products that offer a lot of value, which is exactly what I've been looking for in a car in 2024. Now let's talk about this Envista. If you want to come over to the side profile, Gavin, this car is based on the Chevrolet Trax, but it looks very different. So this is not simply a badge engineering topic. This is something that looks very different from its Chevrolet cousin. If we come around to the front here, you might notice this large open grille with this nice smooth crease that extends the width of the car, and then we've got our main beams down here with our daytime running lights up top. Still a little bit too much chrome for my liking. I think if I own this car, I'd probably black some of that out. That's the only part of this design that makes it look a little old man-y, but it's very aggressive and angular and looks really very cool. It's a little bit more smoothed out than something like the Chevrolet Trax, but a pretty good looking car altogether. Now coming around to the wheels, this is the ST trim, the Sport Touring, which is kind of right in the meat of the Envista lineup. We're rolling on a set of 19-inch black painted wheels, in this case with a Continental Pro Contact tire, 245/45 R19. Making our way along the side, they did a nice job of blacking out the window trim so we don't have any of that kind of nasty chrome along the side. And then out back, we have a really sloping roof line, which does look very different than what the Chevrolet Trax offers. And then ST badging, Envista badging out back here. Let's go ahead and pop the trunk. It does have a power liftgate for under $30,000. Pretty good trunk space back here as well. Got a space saver spare tire. Now, one of the downsides of the Envista, it competes in kind of this small, compact segment with vehicles, like the Hondas and the Mazdas of the world, but it doesn't come available in all-wheel drive just like the Chevrolet. I do think that's a little bit of a miss, but it does offer a ton of nice features, which we're going to check out on the inside. So let's check out the sticker on this particular Envista. I've got the Monroney right here. Starting price, $24,100 on the Sport Touring, and then the total vehicle price, $29,070. And that includes the convenience package, which gives you heated steering wheel and heated seats. It gives you the Experience Buick package, which is the moonroof, power tilting with manual sunshade, a couple other things. Advanced safety package for $595, which is adaptive cruise control, lane change alert, and then it gives you the rear cross traffic alert, rain sensing wipers, and then Moonstone Gray for a total price of, like I said, just a tick over $29,000 after that $1,000 destination fee. But check out this interior. This is a nice place to be for this price point, and I really like that they have some interesting materials. So obviously the seats feel quite premium with this contrasting blue stitching. It's a little weird, but it is nice to have some break in that black material. And then this dash is really quite nice as well. So instead of just doing a simple, black hard plastic, we actually have this nice padded material across the center portion of the dash, this cool almost elephant skin texture, which I haven't quite seen before. And then as we make our way toward the center console of the vehicle, an 11-inch touchscreen display with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto incorporated there. It looks quite good, a little monochromatic and a little hard to see in the daytime. I'd love to see a little bit more color. Automatic climate control, there we see those heated seats, single zone automatic climate control, but that's really all you need. And then below that, you're going to find USB-C and USB-A connectivity, and we also have a wireless charger here. We've got lane Departure assistance there. We've got our 6-speed automatic transmission selector, which is still a physical lever, which I really like. And then fairly small center console there. But look, it's a very functional, comfortable interior. I'm really impressed with the feature set in here, with the moonroof, with the heated steering wheel, with the heated seats, with the power seats in here. I mean, for under 30 grand, this could be a car I think people would mistake for 40, 45 plus, given the feature set. It's almost like what Hyundai did 10 years ago, where they offer a ton of features for not a lot of money, and I actually think that the quality in here feels really good. Now let's kind of pop the hood and talk about the engine. So this is a vehicle manufactured in South Korea, speaking of Hyundai and Kia, and my initial quality inspection is actually really good. There's not a lot of mismatched panel gaps, there's no squeaks, there's no rattles. The initial perceived quality, at least for this week we've had the car, feels quite nice. And then let's go ahead and check out this engine, because this is a interesting point of discussion that people like to have online. Now this is a 3-cylinder turbocharged unit. It's a inline 3 transversely mounted with a teeny tiny turbo, and it makes just 137 horsepower. For a longevity standpoint, these cars aren't old enough to really know, but I will say from what I've seen from both the Trailblazer, which has a 3-cylinder turbo also made in South Korea, and also the Trax, people seem generally fairly impressed with how this car is holding up. I'm not seeing a lot of horror stories online, so that's good news. Now, it's not a high-performance car, but at least it doesn't have a CVT. It does have a 6-speed automatic with a torque converter. Let's check out the rear seat space. Now, with this sloping roofline, I am curious to see how I'm going to fit in the rear here. All right, legroom is very, very good. 6 feet tall, plenty of room. Headroom certainly is compromised a little bit. I think if you're over maybe 5'9", 5'10", you are going to run into some head constraint problems. If you are a kid, though, plenty of space. And look at this, a completely flat floor here. So one of the downsides is, of course, only front-wheel drive. One of the upsides, though, is even this middle seat is going to have a pretty nice place to sit. We also have a couple of USB ports back here. One knock on this car, though, is no rear seat air vents. That is one of the bummers back here, which I'd love to see incorporated. All right, Gavin, let's take this thing for a ride and see what it's like. Now, I feel that, you know, Buicks of the 60s and 70s were just so cool. They had so much design, so much interesting, maybe craftsmanship is the wrong word, but attention to detail and how they were put together. This is not that era, but it also means that it's not going to fall apart at 38,000 miles and handle like a large person doing whoopee on a waterbed. This is actually a nice car to drive. It's a little tighter than I think the typical Buick buyer might be accustomed to, but I'm hoping this car brings in a new category of Buick buyer, someone who's looking for a little bit of luxury and a lot of features for the value, and maybe doesn't care about having that super lofty ride that some of the old cars had. Now, actually, power, 137 horsepower, doesn't sound like a lot, and indeed it's not, but we live here in Colorado at elevation, and just the fact that it has that teeny tiny turbocharger on it means actually pretty good. This feels a lot faster than some 2.5 liter 4-cylinder cars I've driven that on paper have a lot more power, because we see such a hit at altitude from naturally aspirated engines in terms of power. This little turbo scoots this car along quite nicely, and you know, it's actually pretty fun to drive. I think they struck a good balance with the ride quality. As I mentioned, it's not floaty, but it's also not very firm, never feels crashy, and it doesn't deliver that many unwanted bumps and harshness into the interior. The other thing too about this car is, I mean, the tech in here from a driver assistance standpoint is really good. Now, we don't have Super Cruise, for example, but we do have adaptive cruise, and we do have blind spot monitoring, and we do have a nice backup camera. And look, I mean, the driver assistance tech feels quite nice, and I think that this drives better than some of its competition. Personally, I think I like driving it more than like a Honda HR-V. This car, even though it doesn't have a lot of power on paper, feels a lot more sprightly than the Honda HR-V. I don't think it drives quite as well as something like a Mazda CX-30. I think that's going to be a slightly better driving experience, but I think it's a little bit smoother and a little bit more refined than its sister car, the Chevrolet Trax. So I gotta commend them on that. They really made a car that drives nicely for under $30,000. My big gripe against this car is, look, you can't get all-wheel drive. If you want all-wheel drive, you got to step up to the Encore GX, which is going to cost you a little bit more. It's a car I recently drove as well, and also was a nice vehicle to drive. I just like the form factor and some of the fit and finish quality bits of this on Envista a little bit more than that Encore I drove. I just wish I could get this one with four-wheel traction. Maybe with the hybrid system would be really cool as well. But folks, Buick is doing some really good stuff. I know this video is probably not going to blow up the internet, and some folks are probably going to disagree and say I'm crazy for recommending a 3-cylinder turbocharged Buick manufactured in South Korea. But from where I'm sitting right now, I'm very impressed. I think I'd happily look at this car. In fact, I did look at this car. I just got married, and we're looking to replace my wife's 2008 Honda CR-V, which is showing some age at this point, and we don't have a big budget. And look, we've got maybe $25,000 to spend, and we're looking at used cars, but for 25 grand, you can get a pretty decent little Envista. The only thing that is stopping me from buying this car tomorrow is that lack of all-wheel drive. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. As always, been Tommy, behind the camera Gavin. We'll see you next time.